The Amatars are part of the Amarr Empire but are of Minmatar origin. During the time the Amarians occupied the Minmatar homeworlds, one of the Minmatar tribes, the Nephantars, collaborated heavily with the Amarians. The Nephantar is the name of one of the 7 Minmatar tribes. Coming to be known as Amatar during the years of Amar rule, the name Nephantar has now been reclaimed by those returning to the Republic in the wake of the Elder Fleet invasion. When the Amar slave raiders first arrived on the Day of Darkness, the Nephantar were as vigorous as any of the other tribes in attempting to fight back. But in the aftermath of that first crushing defeat, reality set in. As one of the largest tribes, the Nephantar had been hit hard by the raids, and their leadership debated leaving Matar for their colony world of Horchermold. In the end, the Nephantar chief decided against the move, despite strong support for it among influential families and clan leaders. The debate's aftermath left bitter divisions within the tribe, and the acrimony would lead many of the most powerful members of the Nephantar tribe to look to the protection of their own families at the expense of others. The next time Amar raiders came to Matar, they encountered no resistance in areas controlled by certain Nephantar families. The Amar quickly understood that these members of the Nephantar elite were willing to work with them in exchange for immunity from the raids for their own families. Over time, the collaboration of the Nephantar with the Amar became widespread across Matar, as the benefits of the betrayal of their fellow Matari became clear. After a century of Amar aiding, the Nephantar had become the effective rulers of what remained of the Minmatar people. Any open challengers to their control would quickly find themselves in the next quota of slaves handed over to the raiding parties. The Nephantar had already begun to ape their Amar masters, abandoning many tribal ways and adopting an aristocratic hierarchy. Finally, just before the invasion and occupation of Amar, the Nephantar moved their capital to Horchermold, evidently with the approval and assistance of the Amar. Safely on Horchermold, the Nephantar leadership adopted the Amar faith and pledged their allegiance to the Amarr Empire. A Great Purge was begun as every Minotaur knot of their tribe was enslaved. The Nephantar willingly abandoned a great number of their traditions, claiming they had progressed beyond the old social structure of the Minmatar tribes, and so impressed Emperor Damius, it might add that he granted them considerable autonomy. In a speech announcing this favored status, the emperor alluded to the Nephantar poetically as Amatar. The word was quickly picked by the Minmatar slave population, who used it as a derogatory term for the tribe that had betrayed its brethren. It was also during this period that Tyrion Plethar was consecrated as the first Minmatar priest of the Amar religion. The Gallantry would be the first to legally use the term Amatar in one of their early drafts of the Gallantry-Amar Free Trade Agreement. The Amar poured a great deal of wealth into the Amar Constellation in an attempt to help the Nephantar build up their infrastructure. Research centers, stations, trading hubs, even hospitals and cultural buildings were erected in a short period of time. The Nephantar inclination towards establishing and developing fixed centers of trade, combined with Amar underwriting, soon led to an accumulation of vast amounts of wealth that the tribe hoarded in various locations. Many high-ranking Amatar became slaveholders, and the use of space vessels was granted them. The Nephantars fled Minmatar space during the Minmatar Rebellion, and the Amar Emperor set them up in Amar-controlled areas close to Minmatar space. Soon everyone had started calling them Amatars. Today, the Amatars enjoy a semi-autonomy in their own space and are still embroiled in war with their former Minmatar brethren. Territorially, the Amar force swept aside whole squadrons of rebel ships. The tide turned quickly for the pro-Empire forces. A double agent lured the Nephantar tribal leader to a remote location in the Uriok system and assassinated him. This act caused a massive upswing in disruptive acts among those slaves still held in bondage, and mere days later a saboteur succeeded in destroying the T's reclamation in the Troun system. With the threat of the capital ship gone, the rebel fleet turned back towards Horchermold. The bulk of the Amar fleet had been forced to pull back to quell riots closer to home, and the Ani constellation was now completely cut off from the rest of the empire. The Nephantar prepared to evacuate. The Nephan tribe were relocated to the derelict region. The Molden Heath entrance to this region was through Audester, at the time heavily fortified by Amar forces and thought to be well behind the farthest possible advance of the rebels. As such, this was the destination system for the relics being moved from the Ani constellation. In the aftermath of the Minmatar Rebellion, when the Minmatar cast out the collaborators along with the Amari, the Nephantar were granted the region of Derelict to settle as a protectorate of the empire. Their domain, which they call Sanmatar, is semi-autonomous. They have patterned their government and society off that of the empire, and have several direct ties direct to the Amar. Foremost of these are the fact that the Amatar are governed by an Amar governor who rules over numerous Amatar heads of state, and that the Amatar navy is under the command of the Amarr Empire. The constellation of Sanmatar serves as the homeland and core territory of the Amatar people. It was granted to the Amatars by the Amar Empire after they were expelled from Minmatar space following their collaboration during the Minmatar Rebellion. Though far smaller than their original domain, Sanmatar provides a new center for Amatar culture and sovereignty. At the heart of the constellation lies the main administrative planet of the Amatars. This is the seat of the Amar Consulate government. The planet is also home to the Lutenlir Festival, one of the most revered celebrations in Amatar society. The Lutenlir Festival takes place annually on the darkest day of the year according to the calendar. During Lutenlir, thousands of candles and lanterns are lit across cities and towns in elaborate displays. The festival marks the triumph of light over darkness and has origins in ancient Nephantar tribal rituals. Families gather in their homes and communities to feast, dance, sing songs, and light lanterns that fill the night sky. The Lutenlir draws Amatars from all over New Eden back to the home planet to partake in the festivities alongside their Luti clans. It serves as a unifying cultural tradition that binds the displaced Amatar people. Since its inauguration, Sanmatar has been in a constant struggle with the Minmatar Republic. Both states have expanded considerably in the last decades and now border on each other in numerous places. The Republic, backed by the Galanti Federation, had the upper hand for a while, forcing the Amar Empire to repeatedly come to the aid of their allies. But in recent years the tables have been turning and the Amatar have managed to set up military installations and space stations right under the Republic's nose. Broad speculation existed for many years on where the Amatar got the support for these conquests, as the Amar traditionally were only willing to aid the Amatars when the latter were under direct threat. Though nothing has been conclusively proven, it is widely whispered that for decades the Kaldari provided clandestine support to the Amatar in exchange for the promise of mineral rights to the rich territories being battled over. These allegations were a frequent diplomatic sticking point between the Kaldari and the Minmatar, and the mere mention of them rankles both sides to this day. The Sanmatar government is structured the same way as any other province of the Amar Empire, with a governor at the head and district officials beneath him prescribing over the various departments of state. These heads of state are always Amatar, although the governor himself traditionally is an Amarian and acts as the supreme representative of the Amar Empire. As is to be expected, not all Amatars are eager for constant warfare with the Minmatar Republic. Those who are the most belligerent of them often feel that the Amatar state is doing too little, so they have formed a group of their own to fight the Minmatars. In a sense, this group is a direct response to the independent rebel groups the Minmart have, and the guerrilla tactics employed by either side are similar. The Amatar domain, Sanmatar, is semi-autonomous. The Amatar rulers have full domestic control, but their foreign policies must have the consent of the Amarians, and their military forces are, nominally, under the authority of the Amarians. The relationship of the two has been remarkably smooth in the past, with no serious quarrels. The Mandate has been struggling with the biggest crisis in its entire history, the direct effects of the Elder invasion and the wholesale destruction of large parts of the home fleet. Big news in any other circumstances have been largely ignored due to the more pressing issue that cuts to the very heart of the Amatar identity, namely the revelation that the original defection was blessed by the Minmatar elders so that the Nephantar could protect the remnants of the Starkmanir tribe. Aina Utof Umtiforn. UIC-17 is the former governor of the Amatar Mandate. A Nephantar by birth, Utof was the first Minmatar to rise to the position of governor of the Mandate, the post having previously been occupied solely by Amar. Aina Utof was born to the prestigious Utof family. They were one of the first Nephantar clans to begin collaborating with the Amar following the Day of Darkness, and retained favored status among their Amar overlords for centuries later. By C91, the Amatar Mandate was flourishing financially under Utof's direction, having dramatically increased trade with the Kaldari, solidified the economic importance of the region for the empire, and improved the standard of living for free Amatar across the Mandate. Despite her success, it still surprised many when Governor Ibrar Ondagoy named her the High Commissioner of the Amar Consulate, the highest position an Amatar could attain in the Mandate at the time. Late in IC-19, Governor Ondagoy stepped down from his post as Amatar governor, citing failing health. In a stunning move, Utof was named his successor, becoming the first Amatar governor of Amatar birth. Chamberlain Karsoth, acting leader of the Amar Empire, affirmed the appointment without fanfare. In June of IC-110, the Elder Fleet invaded the Amatar Mandate. Utof shocked the cluster once again by usurping all Mandate communications channels and urging Amatar to defect to the Republic. Utof herself connected with Elder Fleet dropships and escaped from the Mandate under heavy escort. While former Governor Ana Utof's urging to Amatar citizens to defect to the Republic did elicit some positive response, mostly among the persecuted minority, who still cling to their Minmatar roots. The majority of the Mandate viewed her actions as a heinous betrayal of the Mandate's principles. Traditional education in the region has always focused on teaching the value of the Amar way of life, and the Amatar's privileged place at their side, and the news that their beliefs about the noble origins of the Mandate may be entirely false have been a crushing blow to the morale of many citizens. To this day, the political situation between the Empire and the Mandate remains unchanged, with Empress Jamila having placed the Mandate under the vassalage of the Ardashapur family on her return to the Empire, thereby charging Yonis Ardashapur, current heir for the family, with the responsibility of oversight and leadership of the Amatar people as their governor. As governor, Yonis Ardashapur also acts as the commander-in-chief of the Amatar military, namely the Amar Fleet, a force large enough to keep the Mandate's borders protected and the Republic at bay, consisting mainly of former Imperial Navy service vessels handed down to the Mandate after being decommissioned from the Empire. The Amar Fleet is neither impressive in scale nor technologically sophisticated. What it does lack on these fronts, however, it makes up for in pure striking power. The fleet consists mainly of attack battleships and heavy assault cruisers that are often called into service to assist with imperial border patrols. The Mandate enjoys a semi-autonomous political status and maintains positive standings with the allies of the Amar Empire, most notably the Kaldari state and, by extension, Mordu's Legion. The Amar Consulate is the highest government office overseeing the semi-autonomous Amatar Mandate within the Amar Empire. Staffed entirely by Amatars, the consulate is responsible for the day-to-day administration and governance of the Mandate. The consulate maintains law and order, regulates trade, directs economic policy, and provides public services for the Amatar people. However, the consulate ultimately answers to an Amar governor appointed directly by the emperor, ensuring Amatar loyalty to the empire. The governor keeps a watchful eye on the consulate's activities. All major decisions must be approved by the governor, who has the power to override the consulate at any time. This administrative structure guarantees that the consulate serves the empire's interests first and foremost. The Amar Fleet serves as the naval and defensive force for the Amatar Mandate. Though not a large or sophisticated military compared to others in New Eden, it is a fully sanctioned arm of the Amar Empire. The Imperial Navy provides older decommissioned vessels to the fleet and allows the Amatars to crew and operate them independently. In return, the Amar Fleet patrols the border regions near Minmatar space, protecting Amar territories from Republic incursions. The fleet's main purpose is to keep the Minmatars at bay and prevent harassment of Amar border systems. For the Empire, the fleet serves as a buffer and expendable first line of defense against Minmatar aggression. The Nephantar Miner Association is a major mining and industrial corporation based in the Amatar Mandate. It focuses heavily on mining operations in the resource-rich border zones between Amatar and Minmatar space. As these areas are highly contested, the NMA maintains its own well-armed security forces to protect assets and transport. With mining rights granted by the Amar governor, the NMA leverages the mandate's military backing to safely harvest minerals in disputed systems. The NMA supplies critical resources that fuel Matar and Amar industrial productivity. Its independent military power also serves Amar's strategic interests along the border. In conclusion, the Amatars remain in a complex relationship with the Amarr Empire. Though granted semi-autonomy in governing their own affairs through institutions like the Consulate, they are still tied politically and militarily to the Empire. The Amar Fleet in particular provides security for Amar borders as well as the Mandate itself. Economically, the Mandate benefits the Empire through the extensive mining operations of corporations like the Nephantar Miner Association. Though the Amatars originated as Minmatar collaborators during occupation, they have developed a distinct identity and status over time. However, tensions with the Republic persist. The future status of the Amatars may depend on larger political developments between the Empire and Republic. But for now, they remain loyal defenders of Amar interests on the border, drawing on their unique blend of Minmatar roots and Amar cultural adoption. The Mandate provides a buffer of protection and resources that benefits the Empire strategically. In this complex relationship of interdependency, the Amatars have carved out an important niche within New Eden's largest empire.